one. Now, before we get into these predictions, I just want to say, just looking at this card from top to bottom, this is easily match wise, in my opinion, the best WrestleMania we've had in the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, we've had some main events that were really, really, really good. Some main events that were better than these main events, but I'm talking about from the card top to bottom. This thing is just absolutely stacked. Um, and it's also marking the first WrestleMania that has no involvement from a McMahon. Thank the Lord. But we're gonna get right into these matches. So the first one, we got Rey Mysterio and the newest member of the LWO, Dragon Lee, versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Who do we have in this match?
I'm gonna go with Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee for the simple fact that they are a part of a unified faction.
Yeah.
Dragon Lee is officially now a member of the LWO, as we saw last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And Santos and Dominic, while they do have a bit of a deal going on here, they're not part of the same faction. At the end of the day, Santos represents LDF, and Dominic is a part of Judgment Day, which is like, there's a little bit of tension there as well because of Andrade, in the mix.
Yeah.
So I think because of that, all these different things at play, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee are more than focused right now, especially after coming back um, from injury for Rey Mysterio. So I'm gonna go with those two.
I'm actually going to go against you, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, if you notice, when Rey Mysterio picked Dragon Lee as his partner, Carlito had a little bit of a face. And I
Yes.
feel like that's going to play a very, very big role this Saturday because I think that Carlito's going to turn heel. If you notice Carlito's presentation since he's been back in the WWE, he's never had on really, well, he had at one point, he had on LWO merch a couple times, but every time we see him, he's in Carlito merch. Um, and every time Ray and Carlito kind of team up, it doesn't really go as planned. They always take a L. And I feel like Ray picking Dragon Lee over Carlito, I think is going to be one of those things where it's going to be like, okay, this is the straw that breaks the camel's back, and I'm out of it. I don't want anything to do with it. Now, when it comes to Santos and Dominic, I think that we're going to get a Judgment Day breakup soon, and I feel like we're going to see Dominic go to LDF. And I feel like part of the reason why is just because when you see Dominic in the Judgment Day, he's still kind of considered like the little homie. Whereas when he's with Santos, they kind of see each other as equals with a common enemy. And I feel like if he were to go to LDF, it would be a huge upgrade to his character. We'll see a totally different side of him. And I feel like, yeah, I just feel like Dominic is gonna make that jump soon. But to kind of, you know, bring it back to the main point, I think that Santos and Dominic are gonna win this Saturday. Moving on to another blockbuster tag team match. This time it's a 6-woman tag. We got Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill versus Damage Control. Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. I need to know who's gonna win this one.
The Powerpuff Girls, man. Bianca, Naomi, Jade, the perfect team right there. Like, you cannot scream the word star louder than when you see these three together. Like, that is a super team right there. I don't care what anyone says. And it would be foolish of WWE to not capitalize on having Jade win her first, like real match outside of the Royal Rumble,
Yeah.
and it's at WrestleMania too. Like, I'm sorry to Asuka's WrestleMania streak, but like she is and Damage Control are not winning this match.
Yeah.
And they're also going to be building Bianca's undefeated streak at WrestleMania too. So I don't know. All the stars are kind of aligning for that team. Naomi coming back as well,
Yeah.
gaining a big victory at WrestleMania. Yeah, I gotta go with those three. Hard to bet against them.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. When we look at Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill, this is the super team. When we heard that Jade Cargill was coming to WWE, this was one of the things that we wanted, right? We wanted to see either Jade face off against Naomi and Bianca or team with Bianca and Naomi. And we're getting that. We're getting that super team. We're getting that Black Girl Magic WrestleMania moment. And I'm super looking forward to it. The only thing that I have to say, though, I feel like WWE needs to capitalize off of this trio. They don't have to be a faction, but the people need merch. We need a Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill shirt. Whether it's them pointing at the WrestleMania sign, whether it's them after the match hugging, or them taking some type of studio photo together, we need the merch. We need the Bianca, Naomi, Jade merch. It's we just need it. The people need it. But I am gonna go with the Powerpuff Girls winning this one. Now it just seems like I feel like the theme is tag teams right now because we're going into a six-pack ladder match for the undisputed tag team championships. Now, an important stipulation to note: the match only ends when both sets of titles are retrieved. There's going to be two sets of titles hanging above the ring: the Raw tag titles, SmackDown tag titles. Whoever retrieves both will be the undisputed tag team champions. I think this is going to be very important to know because I think there's going to be a split in the tag titles. But in this match, we have the Judgment Day, Damian Priest and Finn Balor versus Awesome Truth versus, was it DIY? Versus DIY versus the New Day versus New Catch Republic versus A Town Down Under. Who do we have for this match?
I kind of just changed my pick just
Mm,
off, just off glancing at the graphic, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go with Awesome Truth.
mm,
They're gonna take one of the sets of championships, the Raw ones, because they are Raw superstars. I think they're gonna get their moment, like they can be the first team to take down the belts and be like, yay, like cheap pop. Miz and R-Truth won championships at WrestleMania, cool.
mm.
But then on the other side, over on SmackDown side, I think New Catch Republic, are going to take the championships. You have to have at least one set of Triple H's kids, as you will,
Yeah.
to win at WrestleMania. And I just don't think, um, they would pull the trigger on having both DIY and New Catch Republic winning on the same night. My guess is that Awesome Truth are going to win, and on like the Raw after WrestleMania, do an open challenge, DIY answers, then they win the championships.
Okay. I'm gonna go with DIY winning the Raw titles. And I'm gonna go with A Town Down Under winning the SmackDown tag titles. I've been getting this feeling of A Town Down Under and Logan Paul kind of being like a unofficial faction. And I feel like if you want to clean house, make them clean house and have them have all the gold. Have Logan with the US title, have A Town Down Under with the tag titles. So I feel like we're gonna have A Town Down Under winning one set of titles and then DIY winning the other. That's just me though. But speaking of tag teams, that brings us to Jay Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Who do we have in this match?
No eats. Jimmy Uso is going to win this match, and hear me out. Jay Uso has been positioned ever since he left the Bloodline as main event,
Yeah, that's very true.
despite the fact that he loses like 80% of those matches, he's in them. And Jimmy is not. Jimmy is the one that has to instigate in these matches to even get any crumb of attention around here that is not given to him already by the Bloodline.
Mm,
He's their hitman. He's the guy that goes out there and sabotages things. He ruins things, but he doesn't have that one big win under his, like name yet to really put him on the same caliber or the same level as his twin brother Jay Uso.
yeah.
So I think one win right here would be the perfect place to really catapult that momentum, whether it's Solo coming in and interfering or another member of the bloodline outside of the WWE that could be debuting.
Mm,
Um, I don't know. I don't really think too deeply into that, but I think either way, Jimmy Uso is going to be the one that has his hand raised at the end of the night.
I'm gonna agree with you. I think that Jay, ever since leaving the bloodline, he has seen individual success. Whether him it was him winning the tag team titles with another partner, him being in a main event spotlight by himself. I feel like Jimmy needs to have something that puts him at the same level as Jay. Or else he's just also always going to be known as Jay's brother. And I also feel like this is not going to be the last time we see these guys match up. Um, I feel like if Jimmy loses, where does he go from here? Um, so I'm gonna go with Jimmy. I'm gonna go with Jimmy winning this match as well. So yep, that's that. Now we're getting into a couple well, the last two title matches, at least for the night. We have the Intercontinental title between Gunter and Sami Zayn. Who do we have?
Man, as much as I would love to see, and this is kind of like a spoiler for another match, my pick for another match. As much as I would love to see Sammy and KO like recreate that Eddie and Redacted like that moment at WrestleMania after who wins his title match on night two. They both come out and celebrate with their championships, but I just don't think that is in the cards. I think Sammy is gonna crack under pressure.
Mm,
Gunther is just he's really like focused. He's dominant. He's a beast. Like he has no feelings, no regards towards his opponents. You know what I mean? And Chad Gable, I think, has something to do with Sammy not winning or not being focused 100% on winning because, he is still low key very salty about not being on WrestleMania and not facing Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Like
mm.
I think I don't know if he's necessarily going to cost Sammy the match, but I don't know. Like it's like it just seems very impossible to beat Gunther right now. He always gets every new opponent that he faces up against, he always gets them like the first time around. It usually takes his challengers more than one time to really get that victory over him. And I think they're low key building like a WrestleMania streak for Gunther as well,
I
like
agree.
over the next few years. Like not Undertaker level, of course, but the same thing they're doing with Bianca, I think they're going to do with Gunther. So unfortunately, I think Sammy doesn't win and Gunther retains his championship.
I agree with you. I think that Sammy is going to lose. I think that Gunter is going to win. I feel like we're going to see a heel turn from Sammy very soon. I feel like it's that time for him. I feel like the bloodline honorary oos juice has worn off. I feel like the character is now a little bit stale, but we all also know that Sammy is one of those guys who has a switch. And once he turns it on, he's on. And he doesn't miss a lot. So I feel like we just need an event that's going to be the catalyst for that switch to turn on for him. And I think that him losing at WrestleMania a year after he won the tag titles with his best friend in Kevin Owens, I think is that thing that's going to let the switch go off. So I'm going to go with Gunter on this one as well. Now we're going to the Women's World Championship. Fun fact, it seems as if Rhea Ripley's entrance will have a live performance and a live band uh, as she walks to the ring. So we got Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch for the World Women's Championship. Who do we have?
This one's really, I was gonna say it's really tough, but low key it's really not. I mean, I think Rhea retains here.
Yeah.
I think this is the biggest match they could have gotten out of Rhea at WrestleMania for the time being, with like the rosters being set up the way that they are.
Yeah.
Um, I think Becky being a big name definitely does help, the selling of this match.
Mm-hmm.
But Rhea retains. There's just absolutely no reason to take the belt off of her. We've seen Becky have great run. Or I wouldn't even say like great, but she's had runs with the women's championship before, and I know some people are, wishing or wanting more out of Rhea's, championship reign as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think up until this point, this will be her best match of her title reign. And again, the numbers don't lie. She is doing great in that department, doing great ratings and numbers for, WWE and Raw. So it just makes no sense to take the championship off of her. I think they just need to kind of like ramp it up on the feuds after Becky though. And
Mm,
Becky herself has even said that she wants to focus more on story driven, you know, um, rivalries versus always having to gun for the women's championship.
yeah. I agree. I think that we're going to see a Rhea Ripley win. Something to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying. Um, I think Becky's going to switch over to more story driven or things that do not revolve around the title. But more importantly, I think it's very, very clear where Rhea Ripley and where Bianca Belair are headed. And that is on a collision course somewhere down the line within the next 2 to 3 WrestleManias of Rhea Ripley facing Bianca Belair. I feel like until that actually happens, both of them need to rack up very formidable, credible wins at WrestleMania over certain opponents. I feel like Bianca got a couple of those with Asuka. I feel like Rhea had a credible one with Charlotte, and I feel like it's going to continue with Becky. And by the time they have their match, it's going to be like this is a real dream match because they've both evolved as performers so much, and they've both created these incredible Hall of Fame worthy resumes. By the time they get to each other, it's gonna be suspenseful to say the very least. So I'm gonna go with Rhea Ripley beating Becky Lynch and retaining her World Women's Championship. And now the main event of WrestleMania Night One: The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Who do we have?
I'm gonna go with the Bloodline.
Mm,
Final Boss, Tribal Chief. Um, I absolutely want to see Cody versus Roman in a Bloodline rules match. Give
mhm,
it to me. Give it all to me. Like I want the shenanigans, the over the top booking. I want
mhm.
Cena, Austin. I want Solo in there. Everybody in their Civil War style. Like, um, yeah, I
Yeah.
think to get heat on the Bloodline, on The Rock and Roman Reigns, they have to win night one
Mhm,
and plant that doubt in the minds of the audience for night two. Like, oh my God, like now that all the rules are basically out the window, does Cody actually win?
mhm.
Or does this open the door for something even crazier to happen, which I won't really get into because we're just doing predictions right now. But yeah, Bloodline takes night one, and then when we get to night two, we can talk about night two.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm looking at the my phone just so that I make sure I'm staying on task. But I'm gonna go with Rock and Roman. I'm gonna go with the bloodline for night one. I feel like this is gonna set forth a couple of things. Number one, I feel like we're gonna get a brand new Seth Rollins after Mania because I feel like he's gonna take 2 L's. I think he's gonna take this L and he's also gonna lose to Drew. And I think that's gonna make way for him turning heel again. And then I feel like it's gonna also lead to versus Co- Roman versus Cody. And I feel like that's gonna set up a Cody Rhodes win. And I may have gotten a little bit too far ahead of myself, but yeah, I just feel like it. I feel like there is little to no speculation or suspense if Cody and Seth win, but there's all the speculation in the world if Rock and Roman wins, and it makes you want to tune into night two. And so I think, no pun intended, I think it's best for business that the bloodline wins night one. But that concludes our night one predictions. Y'all let us know in the comments how y'all feel, if we were right, if we were wrong. Either way, we're moving on.